This particular presumption of legality, which is the based on the Tequan's case, has been applied in a few Malaysian cases, such as in case of Sincha and Panglin Siomoto, as well as the other case is Zenhait, Sdn Bhd and Ikhlas Abadi Sdn Bhd. So these two cases apply the presumption of legality. Okay, so basically what they are trying to protect is that those the other parties who doesn't actually know what's going on in the company. Yeah, I've explained in the first video that that particular presumption of legality is not absolute. It doesn't apply to all circumstances. So as a general rule, you can apply presumption of legality, but somehow or other there's always exception to this general rule. So what are the exceptions to the general rule? So there are three circumstances whereby you cannot actually invoke Tequan's case. Firstly, where the person seeking to rely on the indoor management rule has notice of irregularity. They know, okay, that that particular authority is lacking. Okay, and secondly, they know, secondly, they should actually inquire whether such authority has been given. Okay, and thirdly, you cannot apply this presumption of legality in cases of fraud. Now, this particular exception where you know that there's lacking of regularity, you can actually look at the case of Howard and Patton Ivory. Okay, this is English case. Okay, okay. You look at the decision of the court. Okay, now in this case, the directors were empowered to borrow on behalf of the company, okay, not exceeding £1,000. Okay, and then directors lend money to the company on security of debentures. So director brought action to enforce the debenture. So the courts held that debentures were only valid to the extent of not more than £1,000. So it was further held that directors must be taken to know that internal regulation of the company has not been observed. Okay, so when they know that they were lacking on the authority, so they cannot rely on the indoor management rule. So this is where the first exception. Okay. Can also look at the case of Malaysian case as well. Okay. You can also look at the case of Pekan-Nanas. Okay. Where the court says that an outsider is entitled to enforce the contract provided he acts in good faith and without notice that the authority being abused. So if you know they are lacking on the authority or the authority has been abused, you cannot entitle or you cannot invoke that particular Tequan's case. Sorry, you cannot invoke the rule based on Tequan's case. Okay. Okay, second exception to the general rule of presumption of legality, you can see the case of Morris Canson. Okay, you cannot simply invoke the rule where the person know that there's some irregularity. Not only that, they should actually inquire. You can look at the case of Morris Canson, A.L. Underwood. Okay, what I wanted to show you is this case, Northside Development, the case involving Barclays Bank. Okay, this is where there was some money lent by the bank in respect of certain loans. So some instrument of mortgages was executed. Okay, there was some signature by one Mr. Robert and his son. Okay, so the most important part is this one. The issue was whether Barclays was in the circumstances put on inquiry. Now, the court held that a person dealing with the company was not entitled to rely on the formal validity of instrument. So, whether there is exception to the rule. Now, Chief Justice Mason held, in this case, that a person, even one who had no relationship with the company concerned, might be put into inquiry by the nature of this transaction. Okay, so what it means is that you should inquire, right? If you did not inquire, then there's something wrong with it, right? You cannot invoke the rule. You cannot presume that the regulation, internal regulation of the company has been complied, when in the first place you should inquire. Okay, this is where Mason CJ says that if the nature of the transaction is such as to excite a reasonable apprehension that the transaction is entered into for the purpose apparently unrelated to the company business, it will put the person dealing with the company upon inquiry. Meaning, you know that there's something wrong with it. You know that it's unrelated to the business. Then you should inquire. You cannot simply invoke the rule. Okay, so in this case, since there was no evidence that Barclays had made any inquiry, so it was sufficient to vitiate the instrument under exception to the rule of the Quan's case. Okay, so the second exception to the rule of presumption of legality is inquiry. And the last one is fraud. So a company may not be bound by a forged document even though the person who took it believed that it was issued under proper authority. So when you think or you try to invoke the rule on Teck Guan's case, you are not bound by you are not actually allowed to do so because of a fraud. So these are the three exceptions on the indoor management rule. So let me just show you the summary. So the indoor management rule is the presumption of legality. So we have the Teck Guan's case. Okay, the Quan's case, which is the presumption, and we have the exception. We have one, lack of authority on if there's notice of irregularity, and second one, inquiry, and the last one is fraud. So that's all about indoor management rule, which is very simple, easy to understand. What I expect you to do is look at the cases, look at the notes, read the cases in detail, try to understand it. If you don't actually understand, we can discuss during a tutorial. Thank you very much.